Right. So we start every
mhm.
episode the same way.
Yeah.
We take our hands and we clap into the mic. Ready?
Right. Oh, okay.
3, 2,
1.
1. There we go.
Hey, that sounded great.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Talking Stone podcast. I'm here saying this for the second time because I forgot to hit the record button.
Oh, this guy.
Yeah, so we 5 minutes back in time. We didn't lose too much. We just had to go back a little bit. So I am Scott Ialachi, and today we're joined by,
John Silk.
and he is actually surprisingly an expert almost in the field we're talking about today. He has been working cybersecurity for how many years?
2 years.
2 years, and is really knowledgeable about technology, which is the topic of this episode. We are going to start the episode with a rosebud and a thorn, and what that is what that is what that is basically you tell me your highlight of the week, your negative of the week, and something you're looking forward to. And I encourage the people at home to send their rosebuds and thorns in the comments below.
Yeah, no, that's really sweet. My rose would definitely be spending time with my girlfriend. It's such a joy, and she always makes me laugh. Mostly because she's gay. Anyway, but let's see. My thorn's gonna be we had a fire in our dormitory last night. It wasn't a big. No one was hurt. It was a little kitchen fire. Someone burnt the stove.
A little grease fire.
Somehow on an electric stove. Anyway, we'll get past that. That's my thorn, though, because the hallway was smoky, and my girlfriend's allergic to smoke, and so she wasn't having a good time. So I was just kind of worried about her last night. And then my bud's definitely going to be going to dinner tonight with a new group of friends. I'm excited for that.
That is very exciting. Again, I apologize for not being able to go. I am just busy. My rose is right now working on this podcast, even though I forgot to hit record. My thorn is actually not that I forgot to hit the button, even though that'd be very good. It's also the fire. We live in the same apartment area, so it's really fun.
Now you guys know why I'm on this podcast.
That's how we met, actually. Well, also choir. He
That
sings.
too, yeah.
He's very talented, by the way. And that fire was really annoying because I was stuck outside in a suit, and I'm like, I just want to go in pajamas.
It wasn't warm out.
It was not warm out.
It's quite cold.
My bud.
Your bud.
Yes, my bud. It's for editing. I'm very looking forward to editing this. I've been kind of kicking my feet this week, but I need to edit clips for the social media. I need to edit this episode, and I'm just going to do all that tonight and this weekend.
Hey, well, look at that. You have 5 minutes to edit out now because we weren't recording.
It's not that big of a deal. But
He's so cool like that.
I just want to get right back into where we were. We're talking about AI, and particularly how we use it in our lives. You have the floor.
Oh, sweet. So what we see in AI nowadays is usually like generative images, text. When you can ask it a question, it can respond to you in a heartbeat, and it's really cool. Definitely cool. As a Gen Z, young guy, he's been growing up with iPod Touch. We had the iPod Mini and things like that, and then we see this technology that can actually like take data and respond to us like it's thinking its own thoughts. It's not, but it can respond like that, and it's really fascinating to see all that happening. But we also have to bear in mind, my background's in cybersecurity, as we've said before, and it can definitely be a threat.
It's so funny you bring up the iPod. Side tangent.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to think broken phones were cool, right? Because someone who I looked up to had a broken phone. I'm like, oh my God, I want to be just like him. So I went into my backyard, I took the iPod and smashed it into the ground. Shattered the screen. My mom was so mad at me, she took it away.
Didn't have that OtterBox, did you?
No, I took the case off. I was like, I am going to smash this phone.
You really did that.
Anyway, to piggyback off of what you said, I think it's very interesting because you can tell AI to just write me a paper and it'll write you a whole paper. My question is, how do you do that without, plagiarizing? Because then it becomes plagiarism because you didn't write that, you took it from an AI. How do people use AI as a tool?
So in the course that I'm taking now, which is academic writing and research at High Point University, check us out. Anyway, what we've been told is we can use the AI. We can use ChatGPT. ChatGPT.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
got it. Okay, I just said it real quickly. It sounded fancy. Anyway, we're allowed to use it. We just have to make sure we cite it. We have to let the professor know that there's part of this that has been written or taken out of context from ChatGPT. And so I think professors in the writing world are starting to look on it more favorably as it not doing away with original thought. But at the same time, you have to be able to sprinkle in your own thought. If it's just a chat paper, you're not really getting that aspect of creativity, and that plagiarism would definitely come from you have to cite your sources that it draws its data from, because it's pulling from the World Wide Web. It has access to that, and it's checking for sites on say you type in a question about Dana White, is a big name I've been listening to a lot lately, and that's just it would pull up on everything about fighting, how that boxing started, and just like stuff like that. The Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC, I believe it is, started, and it would just be stuff like that. It could get a whole database and pull everything you need on that, and it would be something I couldn't do, but something that it would take me a lot of time to do if I needed to do it.
AI, it's really interesting. The
Mhm.
university actually doesn't have a policy on AI. That's
Mhm.
how gray it is right now. I personally believe if you're using it to enhance your original work, you're in the clear. Like, I use AI all the time to edit my stuff. I use Grammarly, which is AI to edit grammar.
Mhm.
I use the generative AI I put something I write in it, like a sentence or two, and I say, make this sound more profound, make this sound more interesting, make this sound more epic, and I use my words very carefully. Sometimes I'm even more like specific, like must include yada yada, must have this idea, and then it spits out my idea, but more edited, more college level, more impressive, and I love it. It's really, really cool. I use
Mhm.
it for class. I use it for competitions. I use it for all kinds of stuff. I am a pretty good writer and I enjoy writing a lot. And AI has made my process of like looking through dictionaries. Yes,
Mhm.
this is what I do in my free time. I look through dictionaries and trying to find cool words to use instead of, the generic because, cool or this is awesome. I try to look for cooler words like self-aggrandizing. Who knows what that is? I know what that is.
Perchance.
Perchance.
Perchance. That's a word you
Perchance.
don't hear very often.
But I can use AI to help
Mhm.
find those other definitions for words to help enhance my work even more. And I love it. It is so cool. And it's very cool that I have that at my fingertips because, again, 10 years ago, we couldn't do this. Like, that's how new this technology. 5 years
Mhm.
ago, even, we couldn't do this.
Nope.
This is all in the last 3-4 years that's so cool.
Mhm.
It kind of goes back, like, into how awesome humans are and how fast we learn and adapt. It makes me so proud of us. I love humanity.
Yeah, humanity's pretty great. Yeah. As a society, it's definitely been a change for over the last decade. For people even born 10 years ago, they're going to grow up with this. They're going to have this as like permanent. So what is it? 4 years ago, say 10 years, so they're 6. They're going to
Yeah.
grow. They're going to start accessing this stuff just at grade level when you get to elementary school, and that actually could enhance the original thought of an elementary school. Because what comes to mind when you're in elementary school? Like, I like the color blue. Show me blue images. Picture of a sky, the ocean. Something like that, and it would give you a new horizon at such a young age. It would probably help at a young age. Now there are dangers to it. Help enhance. I should say it would help enhance their creative ability and their imagination. What do you see? How do you replicate it? You go outside, you look at it, it's stuff like that. Now there's a danger to it of making kids lazy and complacent and unwilling to do their own work. But I think it has a real perspective on life that could give us a new out.
And then our kids
Mm-hmm.
too. Like these kids, they didn't have it when they were a kid. Our kids would be living like under the water of it because it'd be so far into the future. By the time I have kids, I don't know where the world's gonna be. We're moving
AI
so
might be
fast.
irrelevant. Yeah,
Like we
that's
might be in space. That's how fast we're moving, and it's so cool.
Scott's going to space.
Maybe.
We're sending Scott to space.
So that being said,
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about robot calls.
Yeah.
You know, those scam calls, and you get them all the
Mm-hmm.
time. Hello, I'm a Nigerian prince, and give me $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
What's the deal with that?
So that I would categorize that. I don't know the official name. I know it's a call. It's a scam call. But we have this thing called scareware.
Mhm.
Is what it is. It's like malware, but it's scareware because it is strictly there to scare you. Oh, hello, my friend. You have to do this. Give me your credit card information, and it's like, or else your computer's gonna shut down, or like you're gonna lose all your photos. Something like that. A threat like that, or the promise of great riches usually draws people in to want to do those, which is like, it's not a want, but more of a they think it's a necessity is when that happens. So what we really would call it is scareware because it's more intimidating to you. It's like, oh, there's riches. So that would be like desire. That's your desire pulling you to be rich. Everyone wants to be rich, but you have to make it on your own. And maybe you don't have to make it on your own. Maybe you can find a significant other and make it with them. There's different ways of going about to getting that successfulness, that richness. And richness doesn't just come in the form of money. It comes in the form of your soul being filled with emotion, joy, love, happiness, pride, jubilation is just truly what is the richness of this world. And when you're really talking about taking someone else's money away, it shows you're a coward, especially when you're hiding behind a call. And to talk about, we do know this. There have been cloning calls, the voices that get recorded or duplicated.
I was gonna bring that up. I've gotten hundreds of calls where I just hear like a, and then I'm like hello, and then the call ends, and then they stole my voice right there because all they need is that hello, and then they can make an AI clone my voice, and then now they have 100 Scots pretending to be who knows who from State Farm and like or Chase Bank and be like, hello, miss, I am Scott. We are human, Scott. Please give me credit card number. But we're joking and making it sound so obvious, but they're
Yes.
really not that obvious.
No.
They do a really good job at
of
impersonating these
hiding
companies.
it, and then
And especially people in the older generation who are like who are more susceptible,
susceptible.
who are more able to be affected by them, who don't know as much. Because your bank, and again, viewers at home, your bank will never call you saying, hi, your account has been hacked. They are going to send you a letter or they are going to email you. They will never be like, hello, hi, this is Chase Bank and your account was attacked.
Yeah, no bank's gonna call you. They'll send you a letter that usually tells you, like, hey, we've locked your account because we believe it has been hacked, or like your information's been leaked. We're locking your account now. You come in, set up a new account with us, and we'll get you all set up. And it's like that's how it's supposed to be done. You don't get a random call from somewhere else, saying, hey, we're from your bank. We're gonna your account's been hacked, so we need all your information again over call. I can come in. It seems sketchy on its own,
especially because then you say, give me 16 gift cards, right? $16,000 worth of gift cards and send them to me. And people believe that because they think, okay, if you get the gift cards, we can turn the money into gift card money, and then we can turn that gift card money into real money again. But that's not true. It's real money for the scammers, and it's terrible. But I think the scariest part is that they are stealing people's voices. That's scary.
It feels like an invasion of privacy and your rights as a human to your own voice. That's whoever thought that we'd ever have to have that discussion of your right to your own voice. And I'm not talking about in freedom of speech. I'm talking about in the sense that your own voice is under threat. That is heinous and cowardice for anyone to do that, and it is shameful, I believe. Unless you're using it for your own purpose, I genuinely don't believe that someone should be able to replicate and duplicate your voice in any capacity.
And like to even go away from scam calls, like you have, as funny as it is, Donald Trump saying it's raining men. Like what? Like Trump never sung "It's raining men, hallelujah." But if you look up Donald Trump singing "Raining Men," you got it. You want Mariah Carey singing a Slipknot song, you got it. Like it's crazy how your voice is almost not your own anymore.
Yeah, it's this is usually what I do. Unless I recognize the number or recognize the location the number's coming from, I will never answer my phone. Because listen, if you have my number, send me a text and tell me who you are first, and then I might answer. But if you can't identify yourself to me, I don't feel the need that I have to pick up. Even if it's like the lottery, you won $1,000,000, send me a letter, give me the check, man. Don't tell me I have to give you my information or I have to pick up this call or my grandma's gonna die or something. It's like it's stuff that scares people like that, and it really does target our most vulnerable communities, the elderly, the older generations that haven't been adapted to this, as well as the younger generations who have grown up with it, who have seen it happen. It's definitely newer to them, and I know for a fact my grandpa does not have a fathomable clue of what AI technology does or how it works. He hardly understands how computers work on their own. So and it really shows how the generational divide. My granddad has not a fathomable clue about computers. My dad is a tech magnate, works with computers his whole life. I'm his kid. What does that say about me? Where am I going to end up? I can see it happening, and I have no clue how it's happening to me, but I can see it between them two, the divide. And, when you target someone elderly, like an 85-year-old who, is living alone in the mountains, saying, it's true. I love his home. It's a really beautiful location. Anyway.
I thought you were just saying every 85-year-old lives in the mountains.
No, but like that's where my granddad lives. Not saying which mountains. You'll never know. Anyway. But when someone's alone like that and they feel lonely and someone finally gives them a call, they just feel like they have to pick up. And I know he picks up a lot of his phone calls, and it's just, and that was that generation. When you usually got a message, it was important. You had to answer that. That was, that was the technology back then, and he understands that. So answer the phone. It's kind of wired generationally almost, and it can be really scary to look at the psyche of how that works. How it targets vulnerable communities in the most, cowardice of ways.
On a more lighter note, how about global business? How has technology enhanced global business? Like, I can now be on a Skype call. I know I just dated myself. I said Skype instead of Zoom.
Sponsors won't be happy about that.
I could be on a Skype call with some guy in Australia in a completely different time zone. There's a 16-hour time difference. And I can make business, and I can make a multi-million-dollar business deal with him. Not that I have multi-millions to make a deal with, but that's how crazy we are.
Yeah, so I know at my company we had meetings that would, take place virtually because the whole company is virtual. We have no office. It is an entirely virtual company of maybe 100 or so people working there, and it is impressive to see the level of organization you have to have on a completely virtual company. But with this enhancement of technology, a completely virtual company, it promotes worker ability, their desire to want to work. They're in their own home. They're comfortable. They don't have to really dress up unless they're getting on a call with the CEO or something, or the boss of their boss. And it's the chain of command. It's really cool to see everyone just, in their hoodies, their t-shirts, sit in their underwear. You can't tell, but they're doing it. It's something like that. And it's really enabling of companies to make more money, to make workers feel more comfortable with where they are. And you have to have the insight. Now, of course, there are some jobs that can't do that, but you have to have the insight to, as a tech company, to do that. And that's what my company was. We were cybersecurity, and we worked with a lot of, the sites that were nefarious. And we would look at those. We would sort through them, is basically. Because those pop-up ads. You're scrolling on a newspaper site like the AP. You're looking there. They have pop-up ads on the side, columns. Which ads are safe, which ones are not. Usually I trust no ads because I don't like ads. And
a lot of them build trackers into that. They track where you go online.
That too. And what that tells of us in the company is they're looking to gather like cookies. Cookies, when you say accept all cookies, don't accept all cookies. Accept the necessary ones because they're not going to let you turn off the necessary ones. Accept only the necessary cookies. Otherwise, there will be a tracker on you. And what they're not looking for is what you're doing. They don't care about that. They're looking at where you go, how many clicks you do. They're looking at that algorithm in your head that is making you want to do that. What is that? Do they have a really clicky finger, or would they just, if you popped up an ad in front of you, would they click on that?
And they build a digital profile.
And they build a digital profile, and it can be intimidating. But what our mission is really to do is to sort through those sites to make sure that doesn't happen. And sometimes there are clear scams of don't go to that site. When a site is using an emoji in their title and you can't type an emoji into the web bar, don't go on it. It's just it's just kind of obvious. Like, you can't put emojis in the web bar unless you're on a mobile phone. So some kid somewhere is trying to steal your money. And I was actually the victim of one of these scareware attacks that I talked about earlier, where I'm on my computer, I'm working at my desk, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm getting hit with, Windows 10, you need to contact your maintenance. There's a timer on it, so it's counting down. I'm like,
oh yeah,
those pop-ups right in front of you. If you're just even on the wrong site, they will throw that out at you, and you'll be like panicking for a second, and you just need to not panic. Take a step back, because nothing's going to happen. They have no actual control. This is a video recording playing in front of you. There's no one in your system right there. And that's a big, scary thing for a lot of people. But when there's no one actually in your system. Now, granted, some of those, I haven't had this happen to me, but some of those might actually be someone going into your system and trying to take something out. I'm a 19-year-old kid. What are they going to take from my computer that I don't care about?
They could take a lot, actually.
I don't have a lot on there except games.
They could steal your Steam account.
Oh, no. My Steam account with like 4 games on it. It's not 4 games. It's a lot more than that. I have a sad life. Anyway.
Sorry.
This guy.
I know. I'm terrible. That's the alarm saying how much time we have left. We have about 5 minutes.
Oh, let's go.
So.
Final sprint.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the term technology is reliably unreliable?
Technology is reliably unreliable. Oh, that's a brain teaser there. Technology is reliably unreliable. Yeah. So what we're really getting at there, I think, in that messaging is, it's reliable. Don't feel untrustworthy of the tech that you hold in your hand. Your phone is safe. Your computer, for the most part, is safe. When you have more access to stuff, like on a computer, it's more risky. On your phone, you're less susceptible to scams. Now, when you're on social media and you're getting those, big, those ads like, this moving ad, like when you scroll on TikTok and you see those games like Subway Surfer that's just constantly moving in front of you, it keeps the brain hooked. You want to see where that goes. You want to see where the video on top goes. It's kind of a video like that where they split screen. And it's really interesting.
I hate those videos. When I see them, I just click off. They annoy my brain. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. Like, for one, I get addicted to those. I got to get off immediately as soon as I see one. I'm like, I will stay here for hours if I stay on it. And where was I?
You were talking about technology being reliably
unreliable. Yeah, that's a great message. And so your phone, for the most part, is safe. I would say those, TikTok, some of the social media apps, I would trust less. I only have one social media app, and that's YouTube, and I have Instagram too. Actually, that's two. But, those are the only 2 I have. I don't use YouTube as much for, like, posting stuff, but I do post stuff on my Instagram at the John Silk if you want to go follow. We're getting to the tags right now. Scott's going to edit this out. Anyway.
No.
But social media apps, I think, are some of the more risky things that you have on your phone. But your computer, when you have more access to the World Wide Web and it's easier to use in that computer format, it's a lot more vulnerable. So careful what you search. It can be a tricky world when you're using technology. It's not for the faint of heart for people who actually want to know what the dark web is like and what the cybersecurity. That's a day for another. That's another topic for a different day.
The dark web is so bad.
Yeah. And it was the introductory course in our company to that. And it was really intimidating to be like, this is out there. This is real. And I mean, like, it's so accessible on your computer with like a few clicks and a few types. It's not hard to get to. And it's terrifying to me, what is out there. But, at the same time, I know how safe we are because we do have several companies working privately to get rid of these malicious sites that want to attack you. In generative technologies, when you're talking about AI, it really is up to your prerogative how much you want to use it, how much you want to use your own creativity, your intelligence. It tells when you use nothing but AI. It tells. And what we really want to talk about is, do you lose a creativity aspect of yourself when you rely so heavily on AI? And that's, I would call the unreliable bit, is how much can you trust yourself? It's a lot about self-trust, self-confidence. And for people who don't have a lot of that or think they don't have a lot of that, trust me, you do. Believe in yourself and you can get so far, and it's really great.
I know we're running out of time, but I just
Yeah.
want to touch on one last thing I thought of the literal last second. What are your thoughts on the dead internet theory, the dead web?
I can't say I've heard of that.
So the dead web theory is basically the internet's dying and it's completely dominated by bots. Like there's not as many people on the internet as the data would suggest. A lot of it is just bots, going and finding stuff. Because like how a search engine works is they send bots out to find what you're looking for, and that's how they find the websites. A lot of people think the internet is dominated by robots more than actual humans. And it's almost to a point where you have robots interacting with robots. For example, there's a subreddit.
Here we go.
There's a subreddit completely dedicated to AI, not even AI, bot Reddit accounts interacting with each other, and it's surreal to look at because these bots are having full conversations as if they're real people, but they're not, and it's just to show like, hey, this isn't the. Of course, this Reddit is dedicated to it, but this isn't. This is just trying to educate people on what's happening in the actual web.
Well, I think that's, a real risk of, it's not like they're going to overtake us and like become our overlords. They are still contained to the internet. Granted, that's a big portion of what society, uses today, communicate and communication is such a big important thing about,
I don't think they're going to take over the web.
Yeah.
What the concern is that it's going to be dominated by the bots and people aren't going to be able to have discourse with each other because it's going to just be filled with bots. There's to the point where they need to cut off the dead part of the internet and create a new internet that's a lot more regulated for just humans. And you end up having the old internet and the new internet.
So I think we can dispel them. It's not anytime soon that would happen, that they would overtake us. We still do, humans have a majority. Now, bots are a big thing out there, yeah. But a lot of the bots are trackers on humans. So usually they'll follow a footprint. That's how this works. When you use tracking data, cookies like that, it's usually a bot. Maybe one or two, maybe even more, up to a couple hundred bots will follow a person around and track their almost every move. They can't see what your eyes are looking at on your screen, but usually a lot of those bots are inflated numbers because they are tracking people. Because that's that's how you use it. We call them bots. We, as a company, personally don't use bots to track our customers because that would be disturbing. We just do human checkups. But what I learned about that was that we still hold it's closer to maybe a 60-40, maybe a 75%, 25%, divide of humans still hold the majority of the internet. We still use it mostly. And maybe there's a time in the future that comes. I don't have enough information on that to, make an educated guess of what would happen. But I think that's really interesting to think about and cool.
It's just something I thought of just talking about this. It's a really interesting theory. Anyway, that is time. I have been Scott Ialachi, and you could find me at the Talking Stone Podcast. Where could we find you, Mr. John?
I'm John Silk, and you can find me on Instagram at the John Silk, all lowercase. It's a cool name. I have a cool profile. Follow. And follow this guy, Scott. He's going places, man. I'm telling you, he won money with writing. That's kind of funny.
Yeah,
He used ChatGPT for the whole thing.
No, don't
Take me off record.
Yep. John, everyone. Have a great day and have a great rest of the night.